House Oversight Committee Chairman Darrell Issa. Congressman, what response, if any, have you gotten from the administration on this hearing request?
Well, unfortunately, the administration seems to be wanting to make this go away. But fortunately, General Motors CEO has agreed to testify on the 25th, thanks to the combined efforts of Jim Jordan and people on our staff. And we think it's the right thing. They've got skin in the game. They've made a big mistake. It's clear that there was politics involved. And if the administration wants to sort of move away from it, okay. But for General Motors, something that they were coerced into doing, it was made into a flagship and now a fiery failure, we think it's a good hearing. It's a good chance to talk about when General Motors will be independent to do what's in General Motors' best interest. You know, today Ford is making it very clear that they're not owned by the government, and as a result, they're charting a course to their own prosperity. We need every auto company to have that freedom. And, you know, earlier, Neil, when people were talking about Solyndra and these other points, I might remind people that when this administration came to office, they spent a lot of time talking about people who didn't have skin in the game, who were bargaining and doing credit default swaps and so on. Well, there's no greater group that gambles with somebody else's money without their own skin in the game than people in an administration handing out favors to political friends or people they're ideologically aligned with.
So I guess the gist of this hearing, besides what people knew when they knew it, is to get to some of the problems with these vehicles where the battery would, under certain conditions, just ignite. I know you're trying to find out about that, but about a number of other safety issues you think were swept under the rug. Do you have proof of that? I mean, a lot of the car's enthusiasts, and there are many, they email me every time we profile this vehicle. They say it's much ado about nothing. What do you say? What have you uncovered?
Well, Neil, our committee is an investigation committee, and so I make it a point, if we have all the facts, we put out a report. If we're still looking for facts, we ask people to come before the committee, either in front of the camera or behind closed doors for depositions, and we get the facts. Right now, we have some of the facts, and it doesn't look good, but our committee has an obligation to make sure we get it fully and get it right.
When you say it doesn't look good, though, Congressman, by that, and I've heard from others, and maybe you just can't confirm this one way or the other because it's ensuing, that almost from the get-go, government authorities knew, and maybe GM itself acknowledged, that there were these battery issues, that it was unreliable and you couldn't get the same readings out of them, either in the cold, when it affected mileage and wore out very quickly, or under duress conditions when it could potentially ignite. In other words, a lot of that was kept from not only those who would ultimately buy the car, but from those who were endorsing the car, the taxpayer money to support that technology.
We believe that's true. We want to hear it directly from General Motors CEO. We also want to make sure we get the documents we've requested. And of course, we want to work with the Transportation Secretary and his people to make sure we get it right. He's been a straight shooter for this administration. We want to make sure we get that cooperation. But let's remember, here is one of the big points. This may have been a bridge too far, too quick for General Motors, a company who, unlike Toyota and others, had not spent years successfully innovating using lithium-ion batteries. And that may be the biggest point, is if you push a company to make a show car and you push them from Washington, you're almost inviting these problems. And then if, in fact, you ignore the problems, you invite fires and disasters. So I think that's a lot of what we're going to find. But we want to make sure we get it right. And most importantly, we want to see all these auto companies work on safety first. Our committee has held several hearings on this. You might remember the Toyota hearings. Under a Democratic majority, we made sure that we held up to the CEO accountable to get it right. Toyota jumped up to the plate, made big changes, and we want the same thing from General Motors.
Congressman, we'll watch closely. Good seeing you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil.
Darrell Issa.